Hi, this is Summer from Summer's Tips and Stitches, and today I am going to do a whips video, a work in progress. So up to now, mostly I've talked about how I crochet, and I primarily have been crocheting for 3 years. My grandma taught me how to chain when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and then in college, and I went to college in like the mid to late 90s, so this is before you could YouTube search anything. I printed off a abbreviation sheet and started to crochet, and I made a couple blankets, I think, for Christmas presents for like my mom and sister, and it was all double crochets, and it was very basic. And then when my daughter was like 7, I believe, she wanted a mermaid tail blanket because my daughter loves mermaids. So I printed out a pattern. It was a free pattern written by a gal. I think she called herself like the Mad Hooker. Anyway, it was kind of like, it was the first ever non-book pattern I'd ever read, something she kind of typed out. And to be honest, she kind of was like, just like, hey, now you got to do 3 double crochets here and then do this. And it was just kind of like a informational pattern or whatever. So I made that. I destroyed it. My Aunt Heather saved me, untangled it all, because you had to like work with 3 yarns at the same time to make the striping. And it had gotten tangled and it had been in a bag for a while. She pulled it out, saved it, got me back on track. But anyway, that started my love of crochet. I love doing it. It's relaxing. It's a nice thing for me to do when my kids are at the park playing outside, or if I just sit out in a chair and watch them ride bikes. I sit and crochet at doctor's offices, in the van, waiting to pick the kids up from school. So I've been crocheting for pretty solid now for 3 years. And just before Christmas, and this is now just starting March, so early December, I started teaching myself how to knit. So in these videos yet, I have not mentioned or shown any of my knitting projects. Maybe I can show something I've made, but what I'm making now on my circular needles that are super twisty, and I hate how twisty they are, I'm making a cowl. And if you can see right there, it's a seed stitch. So for those crocheters or people that are just watching this because they love me and they're a friend or family, that's where you knit and you purl, knit, purl, rotate. And then the next row, if you have a purl, you knit it. And then if you have a knit, you purl it. Sounds very pretty. So that's what it looks like, and it's a cowl. This yarn I got from Iris's Yarn Shop in Appleton. It's a small, privately owned yarn shop. I want to say it was like a Malabrigo or something like that. Now typically, as you've seen in some of my other videos, I tend to work with, quote, cheap yarns, acrylics. But every once in a while I like to splurge, and I think this was like a $12 or $13 skein of yarn, and that's not even on the high side. But I really like it, and I wanted to make something for myself, knitted, because I like that knitted woven fabric look. So that's what this is going to be. I do have another color, but I left it upstairs, kind of like a fuchsia, pink, dark pink fuchsia color that I'm going to do after this color's done. It's going to be two-toned. Once I figure out how to switch colors between, I'll do one. I want to do one that's one row one color, one row another color. I know how to do that in crochet, but I don't knit. So this is my whip. There is a pattern, but it just literally said how many to cast on, and knit, purl, knit, purl. And I would like to say a special shout out to one of my knitting buddies on Wednesday, because she saved this and fixed it a little bit and got me, because I realized after a while sometimes I was knitting 2 in a row, and so then I had 2 knits, and I was trying to do a knit purl on top, and then she helped get me settled into joined. So now from here on out, oof, I can even twist it right, I will be doing a circular knitting just in the round, because before I was going back and forth. And even crazier, turned out last week, the gals informed me I was knitting on the wrong side. That my yarn needs to be on the, I think, coming from my left hand, and for some off of the left. And for some reason, I think what they told me is I was knitting, because I think they call it a German knitter or English or something. I swirl. I put my loop in, I swirl my yarn, I take it off. I don't even know where I am right now to show you guys how I'm doing. It's all tangled up. I need to get back to Wednesday night knit group and have Paulette or Sarah straighten me out. I don't know what I've got going on here. But anyway, that's the kind of knitter. I'm not a continental knitter. I like to keep my crochet habits separate from my knitting. Otherwise, I'll get confused. So here it is. This is my first knit, a seated cowl. That's my one project. The other thing that I'm working on is I'm doing another one of those never-ending flowers. This one's all in purple. This I hope to give as a present to someone. If you're one of my family members and you love purple, this might be for you. If you don't watch my videos, shame on you. And then maybe I'll give it to someone else. No, it's for sure for somebody in my family that loves purple. So there it is. That's the flower. Now, I started it prematurely because I haven't finished, as you can see, my other one. But I just really love crocheting these really big flowers. So I thought maybe I'll just make a bunch of really big flowers and then I'll make the pillow. But I'm crocheting this and I lost my band. This is a big cake, a Karen cake, big cake. I don't remember how many yards on it. If you want, there's a video. I can put a link in the description when I compare the different cakes. But this is like double the size of a normal Karen cake. And it's all acrylic. So I'm making that flower out of that. And that's as far as I got. This is the other one that I haven't finished. Here's the flower. It's all done. This is made out of Hobby Lobby's Yarn Bee sugar wheel. I really love it. So I made one whole flower out of that. And then I made, this is the pillow. This is 17 inches by 17 inches. Corner to corner, if you were a crocheter, that's 21 of these little squares across each side. So while I was doing this, you will see partway through, I ran out of yarn. I ran to Hobby Lobby. I went and got another sugar wheel. And it turns out I must have bought my sugar wheel like a year ago. And it's just been sitting in my shelf looking pretty. I went and bought another one. I just grabbed it, same colorway. And in fact, you'll see that in a different video. But if you look, this one is flecked. It has different color flecks in it. And the one that I bought a year ago did not have the color flecks in it. So I'm a little bummed, but my husband he didn't notice the difference. I laid the two panels out, I showed him, I said, hey, do you see what's different with this? And like a good husband, he said, no, I don't. So now I feel a little bit better, but hopefully I'm going to sew these together. I started single crocheting around this one, but then of course I ran out again. I ran out of pinwheel. So I'm trying to decide, do I go spend another $4.19 just to single crochet around this, and then I want to crab stitch these together, and then finally lay this on here. So that's what it will look like someday soon. Then the other thing that I need to do for this project, which I'm kind of like putting off a little bit, is I'm going to sew a 16.5-inch liner together and stuff that rather than stuffing the pillow. And because I don't have the pillow form, as you can see, here's my polyfill that I've been digging out from all over the house. Because up until now, sidebar, I have not had a craft corner, and I've been stuffing my craft items around the house. Some of you folks know what I'm talking about. I had some under my bed, I had some behind the couch, I had some in the back of an end table, I had some in boxes, I had some under the daybed, I had some in my daughter's closet. So I had crafts stuffed all over the place. And then my darling, wonderful husband said that I could share the basement with him. So him and the kids have the computers over on one side. We have a guest bed, and then in this corner, I have my craft corner. I actually wanted that to be my YouTube name, Summer's Craft Corners, but I can't tell you how many craft corners are on YouTube or Facebook. So I was like, it's kind of a thing already. So Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I have to make the liner. I have to take the fabric, I have to sew it together on my sewing machine, stuff it, and then I will crochet, crab stitch crochet my pillow 3 sides together, stick it in. Stick the liner, stuff the liner in here. I think that's the best way to go, but I'm not a fan of sewing, using the sewing machine. I'm not good at it. I have a very strong love-hate relationship with my sewing machine. I love having it. It looks pretty. I like the idea of using it. But whenever I go to use it, I either forget. One time I actually tried to sew backwards. So typically you put your fabric in and you push it forward. I don't know what I was thinking. I grabbed some and I was like pulling backwards. So I really should either get a mentor who would like to come over to my house and teach me how to sew, watch some YouTube videos. But yeah, I've got to sew a liner, stuff it, and put it in that pillow. So those are my 3 whips. Now, the other thing that I am going to put a link in the description to is I saw these super cute little bunnies. Basically, this gal, she's another YouTuber that does like crochet projects. She crochets a little square, magically folds it up and runs some yarn through it, pulls it, and makes these super cute bunnies. So I wanted to make a lot of those because I have a friend who was going to be throwing together kind of like a mid-spring craft show around Easter. And I thought it'd be fun with a bunch of my scrap yarn if I can throw together a bunch of little bunnies, sell them for like $5 or something. That'd be nice. That way I feel like if you're going to have a craft table, which I've done I've only done 2 crochet craft tables, and I've done quite a lot with my glass painting. If you see up here, I wonder if I can even show you. Nope, you can't see it. Well, sort of in the corner. I had a business, if you will, loosely with my friend Heidi called Moms Who Whine. And so I did like maybe 10 craft shows with her. And I found that if you have like 1 or 2 items that you can make really fast and a lot of, and that are usually under $10, people will for sure buy those. And then that gets them to your table, and they may look a little bit more at some of the other projects you have. Or in my case, with the wine glass painting and crochet, make a special order. So I was thinking if I made a bunch of those little bunnies with some of the scrap yarn that I have, then that would get them to the table to look around, and then they'll look at the baby hats or the shawls. Maybe have a few of these pillows, because to be honest, they're not really that long to make. Okay. So maybe that will be primarily what I have at my table. Baby hats, baby sweaters, bunnies, and a few pillows. So those are my, let me try to focus in my brain. That is what my projects are. Never-ending flowers, knitting a cowl, and getting some things together to hopefully do a craft show in April, beginning of April. Yeah, I think that's all I have going on in this video. That's all I was going to chat about. Again, I know I mentioned this a couple videos ago. I still want to do a video where I mix the world of crochet and painting. I have some ideas for that. And then I've been watching a bunch of other folks' YouTube videos, other crocheters and knitters. And I saw that there's videos called Flash My Stash. So I'd like to do that, although my stash is not that big to flash. And then I saw they do like craft room tours. Well, I have a corner, so I could do a craft room corner or craft corner tour. It'll be very short. And then finally I saw this gal, her name is Holly, and her video YouTube channel I think is Yarn Journey. And then some other gal, her name, Lacey, Hooked on Owls. So if you're actually a real subscriber and not one of my family members, if you like watching these videos, watch those gals. They do a lot of the same things I am. They did this thing called like Fiber Friends Tag, and that's where you interview one of your family members and talk about your crochet / knit / yarn addiction, basically. And you get kind of like their point of view. So I'm kind of like deciding, should I do my daughter Maddie or my husband? Neither of my boys, I think, really will be interested in doing that. But I think if I have my husband do it, he might get to know, it might be interesting to see his views more so on my yarn, my fiber addiction. So that's that. If you have something specific you wanted to see, you can put a comment below. And I'll have a couple links in my description to previous videos I talked about. Maybe a pattern for both of these patterns that I have are free patterns because I like to try the free ones first. So I can put a link in the description for this free seed stitch cowl and then the never ending flower. And that's about all. Please like and share my videos and happy crafting.